Hello everybody, this is Kyrix. Welcome you to another episode of This Week in Kyrix. This is for the week of Wednesday, October 3rd of 2018. But, as per usual, my lazy ass is recording it on the 7th, which is a Sunday. And I want to point out, just to start off with, I have not played a PlayStation game in quite a while. As evidenced, by the fact that when I held up my controller, I saw the red light, and I'm thinking, but this thing said I still had 2/3 battery. And for those of you like, yeah? PlayStation 3 controllers have red lights. Yes, but when the red/orange light comes on a 3DS, that means that your battery's low, and I've been playing the 3DS a lot more. Speaking of Nintendo consoles, I am currently scheming, that is really the only correct word for it, to get a Nintendo Switch in November around Black Friday time, if they go on sale. And if they don't, then I'm going to have to scheme harder, because I know full well that in the very near future, the new Pokemon games will be on the Switch, and I do not possess one of those. And that's bad, because I need one. But, I'm just checking out my garden. Checking my garden. So yeah, I don't have a Switch. I'm gonna need one if I want to keep up with Pokemon. Because I already missed 2 whole generations. That is, 4 and 5. I mean, I've since gone back and played Platinum. And thanks to a former League member, he got a job that conflicted with the League schedule. He had loaned me one of the games. I want to say it's Black. And I actually ran into him on the bus one day. I'm like, hey, do I need to get that back? She's like, no, man, keep it. So I technically own Black now. So, I mean, I've gone back to play them, but playing Gen 6 and then going back to Gen 5 and 4, it's just not the same thing. You missed those generations. I missed the time when those Pokemon were fucking relevant, okay? I mean, I missed the time when I could have, say, had Dream Pokemon with their Dream abilities, etc. And so on and so forth, and all that other cool shit that could have been done. Oh, that's right, I had a fuckload of snow. But I don't want that to happen with Generation 8. I don't want to miss out on Generation 8. So, hence my situation where I just gotta do a thing. I have medals now, right? I think. I want to say that I do. I mean, I can't have used them all, can I? Wait, are they? Yeah, they're in here. Yoink. 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 Not gonna need those. As I turn around and immediately fucking need those. That's the kind of week I'm having. Don't know why I'm bothering with the hoe, but I am. So, yeah, I want to get a Switch. Now, speaking on the subject of scheming with money, because I am. That's what you do when you're poor. I mentioned in last week's episode, which was recorded like 4 days ago, maybe? I don't know. It might have been a week from now. I mean, a week as of now. But I mentioned that I am currently trying quite hard to get to Adventure Island. And as a recap for all of you, which is all of you, who didn't really pay attention to that, I mean, at this point, I haven't even aired the damn thing yet, so you couldn't have seen it. But basically, the gist of what I said was, I don't particularly care about Adventure Island itself, more what it represents. I mean, don't get me wrong, I rather desperately want to go to a water park. Apparently, this one's only open for 5 hours, but I'm okay with that. I actually looked up the map, and it's pretty much all pools and water slides and places to eat. I'm totally fine with that, really. That's actually exactly what I was hoping to see. But I wanted to do Adventure Island. Specifically, I wanted to go to a theme park. And in my situation, being broke and not having a job, I'm very limited in A, what I can reach, and B, what I can afford. Because, to be perfectly honest, I could, with some effort, afford to go to Disney World. The problem is, Disney World's expensive, even for us Florida residents, especially since they apparently have some new tiered pricing system. It depends on what day you go, and it's fucking bullshit. I mean, just give me the old thing of tell me how much money I need to gather, and I will. I mean, how goddamn hard is that? Like, oh, you need $70 to get into the park. Okay, cool. I will round up $70. But, anyway, the problem with that is getting a ride there, and the thing is, because Disney's an all-day event, I would need to get a ride from someone who's gonna go to Disney with me. Because let's fucking face facts here. You do not drive from Pinellas County to Orlando and drop somebody off. And then pick them up at midnight, you know? It's not something you do if you have an ounce of sanity to you, unless you really like to drive, or it's on your way, like you're going up to Tallahassee or some shit. Like, oh, I'm gonna go up to Tallahassee, and I'll drop you at Orlando on the way, you know? And then I'll just hang out up there and do Tallahassee things. I don't know what the fuck goes on there. We'll do Tallahassee things until midnight, and I'll come back and pick you up. You know, that kind of shit. That's the best case scenario, and it's still dumb as hell. But, anyway. So even if I could gather the money, and I really could if I needed to. If I felt that I needed to gather the money to go to Disney, I could. It wouldn't be fun. It wouldn't be fast. I mean, if I were to start now, I'd probably get there by February, kind of thing, with the way my finances are going. Unless the newest moves in, then I'll get in a whole lot faster, because I'll have $50 extra each month. But yeah, it's more the case that Adventure Island's close. It's closer. It's in Tampa as opposed to Orlando. We used to basically make weekly trips to Tampa, so it's not that out of the question. I found out recently, it's dumb, but I found out recently that if I really wanted to, I could get to a certain place in Tampa in 3 hours on the bus. So if I got up early enough, I could probably get to Adventure Island by 10. Matter of fact, just for my own gratification, I'm gonna sit inside where creatures won't hit me. But I'm gonna look up on my phone if there's any way for me to bus there. Because I seem to recall there was, but it involved Greyhound. Like, oh, go down here to the Greyhound station. And yet, when I went to another place in Tampa, or mapped a trip there, it's like, yeah, you can bus all the way up there. It's just going to take you all day. I'll get into that story in a minute. It involves the HeroClix judge, who doesn't have a fucking ounce of sense in his goddamn head. Anyway, Adventure Island. It's 23 miles away. Yes, I know it's closed until 10. I'm aware of that. I'm not trying to do that. Do. So if I were to try this, I would be looking at... Oh, Jesus Christ. That's dumb. Yeah, that's it. Wow, really? I'd have to hop the Greyhound going to New York City. That's fucking dumb. That's another Greyhound, so that one's off. That 5. I wonder if that's for the color? just to say, hey, this is a different bus, or if that's a different thing that's not considered Pinellas County. But if I wanted to, I could allegedly wake up at 5, get on the 16 at 5:26 p.m. p.m. Hold on a moment here. Did I? I did this wrong. No, it's literally telling me p.m. It would get me there. Jesus Christ. It would get me there the Friday before, and I would be on my own to get from that point on. So yeah, it's not really feasible for me to take a bus unless I want to hop a fucking Greyhound. So yeah, let's talk about this alleged trip to Tampa. The movie Venom just came out, and the guys at Kyrix often used to go to all the Marvel and just superhero in general movies. It was a thing, Hero Kyrix is a comic book game, so if there was a comic book movie, at some point the guys would try and go. And I haven't been, because I've been retired forever. So I'm like, you know what, I should try and socialize with the guys a little bit. So I called the judge and basically told him, hey, or I texted him rather, I said, hey, if you guys decide you're going to do, Venom, let me know, because I have this thing where I basically get in for free. And I do. And I can literally just go in for free without any issues, as long as we go to AMC theaters, So as long as it's an AMC theater, I can get in there no problem. So, yeah, if you guys want to do Venom after Kyrix, just let me know. I'll meet you at the theater. I'll have my ticket ready and all that shit. So I don't hear from him forever because you know how he is. I've discussed it before. And I basically get a call from Anubis, or I'm texting him and I bring it up. And he's like, oh yeah, he said something, he's like, yeah, he's interested in going. So Thursday, or maybe it was Friday, I think it was Thursday basically. No, it was Thursday, or Wednesday or Thursday, because I went on Thursday. But I basically get a hold of him, and he's like, yeah, we're going to go to the other guy's venue up in Tampa, and we're going to go afterwards. And I'm like, well, that's lovely and all, but how am I supposed to get there? Because I live in St. Pete. For those of you who don't know, that's like miles from my house, like 20 miles away. I mean, just using Adventure Island, which is also in Tampa, as an example, that's 23 miles from my house. So it's not something you just do. It's not, I'm just going to go to Tampa. I mean, we just established that's a 3-hour bus ride for me. This is why I know that. But anyway, he's like, oh, just come up here, come to the venue, hang out with us, and afterwards we'll go see the movie and I'll take you home. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, yeah, I'm going to see this movie on my own. I can already taste it. He's like, well, ask your roommate, see if he wants to go. And I'm like, okay. And he didn't, because A, he had to be up early the following day, and B, he just wasn't really feeling Venom. I mean, he was still so far behind on all the other movies, and he just didn't think... For some reason, he thought Venom was a horror movie, and I told him, no, it's as much a horror movie as Captain America is. It's a fucking superhero movie. It's an anti-hero movie is what it is. But yeah, it's as much a horror movie as Captain America was. It has what you could possibly call horror elements, in the fact that the Venom symbiote is a flesh-eating monster. But shit, they fought that in Guardians of the Galaxy. That's not a horror movie, but they fought a planet that literally killed all of his offspring. Spoilers. How did I do that last time? Chop this up with my fucking potato. Try you done been potato chopped. But, so yeah. I told him that, because here's why I didn't go. A, I'm looking at a 3-hour bus ride to get there on time. To get to the venue on time. Not the movie, the Kyrix venue. So that ain't fucking happening right off the bat. Then I would have to go and sit around the Kyrix venue for 3 or 4 hours. Because that's how long the tournament is. Because I would get there early and then have to sit through the entire goddamn tournament, a tournament that I would not be playing in. Because I didn't even have new figures, you know. I couldn't play if I fucking wanted to. And then on top of that, I'd have to see the movie, which, let's round, is about 2 hours long. And then I'd have like an hour and a half ride home. So, yeah, we're looking at literally half of the day gone for a movie. Or I could get off my ass and walk to the theater in a half an hour, see the movie, and walk home in a half hour. The entire process of getting to and from the movie and watching the movie would take less time than getting to the venue on the bus. So which would you choose? Add that to the fact that I would have 3 different transfers along that route, and over long periods of time, I have the habit of trying to fall asleep on the bus. All it would take is for me to sleep through one stop for me to get fucking stranded in Tampa. And I do mean stranded, because nobody would pick my ass up. Because I know if that happened, the judge would be like, well, no, I can't leave. The tournament's about to start. I don't want to miss the tournament. It's your dumbass fault for falling asleep. And then I'd be fucking stranded in Tampa. Because I don't know if you've ever rode the bus, but they don't run 24 hours a day. If they did, my life would be infinitely simpler. And generally, the rule for buses seems to be, the more desperately you need a bus to run in order to get you back where you came from, the earlier that bus stops running. That seems to be a law of the universe. Like, I have rode the bus living at, like, 3 different places. And every single time, the bus that would take me home from wherever I'm going stops running at, like, 6 o'clock. So, yeah. It's just one of those things. Basically, if I want to get home, there's a lot of walking. Like, when I lived at the apartment, me and John would go to Crit, which I ironically live right near now. But we go there for Star Trek tournaments, and then we'd have to walk like 45 minutes home from where the bus let us off. And before even that, we'd have to get on a bus and then switch near home, get on another bus, and then walk, like I said, 45 minutes back home. So, yeah, it was not a thing of joy for us. And that's actually another reason I quit Kyrix, is because as of very recently, my bikes have become a lot more unreliable. And that means that I'm stuck either walking 2 hours home if my bike breaks at Kyrix, or having to leave early to catch the bus, which normally wouldn't be that big of a problem, you know? Except the tournament basically starts like a half an hour before my final bus home runs. So I would be able to do a partial first round and then get home immediately if someone couldn't drive me home. And no. There aren't a whole lot of games that I like that much. And Kyrix definitely isn't one of those games. You know, for a while, I was doing that shit for D&D. I stopped going to D&D forever ago because of that shit. Because I had to ride my bike at night for an hour and a half from Largo to St. Pete at around midnight. And, I mean, that's not the best ride to begin with. Well, not necessarily around midnight, like around 10. And that was back when the roommate and his now ex-girlfriend used to have to go into town around that time. You know, they went out to eat a lot more than he does now. And they could often pick me up. But let's say, for example, that I'm riding my bike. I'm heading home from where I was, and the bike breaks. I'm fucked. Because there is no one I can think of at that hour of day, at around midnight, that can pick me up, because my aunt can't, because by then she's taken whatever pain medication she has to, and she's not in any condition to drive. And that assumes that I wake her up in the first place. And even if she was in condition to drive, she would not put up with her husband yelling at her for going out, you know. My roommate wouldn't do it because he tends to drink at night, so after a while he just can't go anywhere. And if I could get my friend up, he would do it, but I'd have to get him up. I'd have to get him on the phone. I can't get him on the phone fucking now, you know? But, so yeah, I ended up seeing Venom. Plus there's the fact that if we went, we were going to see like the 1050 showing, which was just complete crap. It's just a normal digital showing, and I'm like, bleh. I mean, yeah, if these were the old days, I'd be all over digital. But I have A-list status now. I can get into whatever fucking movie I want, and I'm not going to burn a free ticket on digital when there is an IMAX showing right next to it. That is literally 10 minutes later. Because 1050, we have the digital. 11, we have the IMAX. And we're not even talking digital with a D-Box option, where I could just go and sit in D-Box at least. So, fuck that. Although, I will say this, my A-list did make me feel superior to him in a big way. Because when we were talking about the theater, on the off chance that I might have gone, which that was a very off chance, I pretty much knew the instant he told me I was on my own to get to Tampa that I wasn't going. Not with them, anyway. But, so yeah, on the off chance that I went, we were discussing what times I was looking at, and he's like, well, we'll probably do the latest showing, the 1050. I'm like, well, dude, 1050 is not the latest showing, 11 is. That's the IMAX. There's an IMAX showing? And, I'm more sarcastic about that because I know something that I haven't told you, which is I listed every showtime that involved D-Box, 3D, or IMAX to him. You know? Matter of fact, come to think of it, I think the 1050 did have a D-Box. But yeah, I mentioned that they had an IMAX, and then I looked at the price. I'm like, yeah, it's like $15.99. It's like, ooh, that's expensive! I'm like, bitch, I could see IMAX any week I want. Get on my level, you know? Because we have one, possibly two IMAX rooms. I want to say theaters in our theater, but no, rooms. You know, like showrooms. So we have a couple of those. So I've seen a couple movies in IMAX. I did not see Venom in IMAX because I opted instead to see it in D-Box and 3D. Because my theater doesn't do 3D very often, and I opted that I wanted to see it in 3D. Because, you know, I totally did. You know what, we're going to go back and get some cobblestone. So yeah, I caught the movie in D-Box and 3D, and you know how the judge was saying, oh, $15.99 is expensive? My ticket came out to literally like $23. My ticket costs more than my A-list membership for the month. So just like last month when I saw the Meg in D-Box, this month I saw Venom on fucking release night in 3D D-Box. My first ticket covered my entire cost, and literally everything after that is basically free. So yeah. And I actually have to make it a point to get to the theater later today, that is to say Sunday, so that I can apparently get the Venom comic that I didn't get that I was supposed to get. And if they won't give it to me, if they're like, no, you have to see the movie, then I'll just say fuck it and see the movie again, because I got 3 tickets. I mean, I was going to see Night School, but that can wait another week. Because I still need a ticket for Goosebumps. That's kind of a must for me. Fuck, I'll toss some mushrooms in there. So, anywho. Yeah, I got to see Venom, and Venom was fun. Here's the thing. I had some issues. Not issues. I had some concerns going into Venom. Not the usual, is this gonna suck concerns. I had character concerns. Because here's the thing. I generally avoid spoilers and shit online, especially nowadays that I'm pretty much guaranteed to see whatever movie I goddamn want. So I try to limit my exposure to extra trailers and whatnot. Now, with a lot of movies, it's unavoidable just because the sheer number of movies I see, they're gonna throw trailers at me. Like, hey, you should see this, too. You know? And usually I do. But when I was looking at the trailer for Venom, Eddie Brock was giving off this Peter Parker vibe, this lovable loser where the universe just shits on him and he's like, oh, shucks, I really wanted to have food today, you know? Guess I'm eating ramen. And here's the thing, Eddie Brock is not that. Eddie Brock is characterized basically as being an asshole where everything that happens to him is his fault. In some ways. Like, he blames Spider-Man for ruining his career, but generally it's his own damn fault. Like, if you watch him in the comics, apparently there was this villain called the Sin Eater. And Brock had been following these, this whole thing, and he had a guy that he could have sworn was the Sin Eater, and he basically published, like, yeah, this guy here's the Sin Eater, you know, with no proof to back it up. He's just, this is my hunch, you know. And, and then later that day or that week, as a matter of fact, I think it was that exact day, Spider-Man caught Sin Eater. It's like, oh, it's not the guy Brock said it was. Ha ha, you're a laughingstock, asshole. And that cost him his job. Well, here's the thing. If Brock hadn't fucking jumped the gun, he'd have still had his fucking job. That was entirely Brock's fault. And the only person who doesn't realize that was Brock. And it was pretty much the same in the cartoon show, where Eddie Brock kept getting fucked over by Spider-Man, but it was for shit that he did. You know, like he did something similar in the cartoon to the Sin Eater thing. I don't remember who it was, but he basically said, yeah, this guy is this criminal, and it turns out they weren't. You know. And naturally, that cost him his job, and he blamed it on Spider-Man, because that's what he fucking does. And, well, when you watch the movie, Eddie Brock does seem like this cool loser. That sounds funny, but that's kind of what it is. That's what Spider-Man is. He's really cool if you know he's Spider-Man, but as Peter Parker, he's just a fucking loser. You know. And as I'm watching him, you know, I'm having my concerns that, oh no, they're gonna Parkerize Eddie Brock. Like, they took Spider-Man out, but they kept Peter Parker and they turned him into Eddie Brock. But no, Brock fucks himself over. I mean, he does seem like a cool guy. He seems really popular. He's on the ball, you know, he's a good reporter. And he fucks himself over. Every bad thing that happens is his fault. And he's the last one late to the punchline. I'll give away minor spoilers here. It's shit you'll learn within the first 15 or so minutes of the movie, so it's nothing big. There's this guy who runs this company called the Life Foundation, and Eddie Brock just smells the scumbag on this guy. And he is a scumbag. Let's not mince words. He's an evil guy. He's a bad guy. You know. But Eddie lands an interview with him. And his boss tells him, now, Eddie, behave yourself. He's like, no, I gotta hold his feet to the fire, blah, 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 blah. You know, and, well, his girlfriend is actually a lawyer, and she is on the defense team. I don't remember if she's defending the Life Foundation. I think she is. Or if she's prosecuting them or whatever. But she's in the midst of a Life Foundation trial. And she's asleep at the time. And he's up getting a drink or something. And she gets an email, and her computer's on. And he gets into it, and he's looking over her fucking private case files. And he drops that shit on the guy in the interview, like, oh, what about all the people who died from your experiments? And he names off names. And, well, this guy is incredibly rich and powerful, and he has Eddie shit-canned. He has him fired. And his boss basically has no issue firing him, because he told him, don't fuck with this guy, Eddie. This is a big, powerful guy. He could buy and sell this city 6 times over. He could buy and sell this company 6 times over. And if you fuck with him, I cannot protect you, and I will not protect you. All you have to do is behave yourself, ask your fucking questions about his rocket, because he had a rocket thing, and just get on with things, you know, and just come home, collect your paycheck, and, you know, have your award-winning show. And that's just, he couldn't help himself. And he gets there and he's fired. And because he used his girlfriend's quote-unquote classified, I know that's not the word, but it's, you know, confidential, got into his girlfriend's confidential files and didn't tell her, she got fired too, so she leaves his ass. So it cuts to like 6 months later, he's in a shitty apartment, nobody will hire him. And I'm not even talking like journalists won't hire him. He can't get a job dishwashing, and I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, oh, Eddie, I feel you, man. I am there now. You know, the difference is, I don't at least have a job history of, hey, I used to be famous. Want to have a famous guy wash your dishes? You know? But yeah, that's exactly the thing. And the best thing is, the symbiote fucking calls him out and is like, you are a loser, Eddie Brock. But here's the thing about Venom. That is to say, the movie, the symbiote, and the joined character. I don't have a problem with it, first off, but I don't really see it so much as an Eddie Brock Venom origin story as a Toxin origin story. Because here's the thing. The symbiotes reproduce asexually. They just up and divide one day. I was actually texting my friend this as I walked home. And I was telling him, like, this, it reminded me of Toxin. He's like, well, I don't know who the fuck Toxin is. And I explained that Toxin is Carnage's son, which makes him Venom's grandson. And they do actually refer to him as such. And I told him, symbiotes have this weird biological urge to murder their offspring. He's like, well, that's dumb. I'm like, yes, it is. Like, well, why do they breed at all? I'm like, they kind of can't help it. It's not even like humans where it's like, oh, fuck, I went out and got knocked up and we can't have blob abortions. No, they just divide one day and there it is. Like, Venom never wanted to have Carnage or any of the other Life Foundation symbiotes. You know, and Carnage damn sure didn't want Toxin. In fact, the only reason that Venom and Toxin had even the briefest of alliances is because Carnage and Toxin hated each other's guts, and Venom saw Toxin as a way to, first off, piss off Carnage by taking him as a protege, and secondly, to have an ally against Carnage. Because here's the thing, he doesn't look it, but Carnage is stronger than Venom. And every time I hear that, my brain's like, no. Because here's the thing, when Carnage is bonded with Cletus Cassidy, he's this skinny-ass stick of a man. I mean, granted, he's a comic book character, so he's buff as shit, but he's real skinny guy, whereas Venom, especially Brock and Venom together, you know, is this hulking brute who can throw cars at people. And you don't really see Carnage display that kind of strength. He likes to just turn his symbiote into blades and knives and kill people. He doesn't really pull the bodybuilder brute act very often. But he is actually stronger than Venom. So generally speaking, when Venom and Carnage tangle, and they do because they hate each other. I mean, Venom, the character Venom. I'm just gonna, if I'm ever referring to the actual booger, I'm gonna call him the symbiote Venom. But Venom hates Cletus Cassidy because he has become an anti-hero who likes to protect the innocent. Now, what he dubs innocent is open for interpretation. But he doesn't believe in letting the innocent be harmed, whereas that's Carnage's favorite thing to kill. So they'd be opposed to each other just on that basis alone, but it goes deeper than that, because the symbiotes, Venom and Carnage, hate each other on a visceral level, on a biological level. They are programmed to hate each other. And they know this, and they don't care, because they hate each other that fucking much. You know? It kind of reminds me of that moment from Deep Space Nine where I think it was Odo talking to, I want to say it was Wayun 6. Oh, these are baked potatoes. But he was talking to, I want to say Wayun 6, because, you know, the Vorta, which Wayun 6 was, were created by the Founders, the Changelings, and they were created to worship the Changelings as gods. And Odo was trying to break him of that, to absolutely no avail. He basically, at one point, says, well, has it ever occurred to you that maybe the only reason you think the Founders are gods is because they programmed you to believe that way? He's like, well, of course they did. I mean, what good is being a god if you can't have worshippers? You know, he's like, yes, of course they programmed me to see them as gods. That's what gods do. You know, otherwise why be a god? Meanwhile, Odo's just shaking his head like, I tried. I really tried. You know, he's just that dogmatic. There's nothing I can do for him. And, you know, that's just how the symbiotes are. They know they're going to hate their offspring. They know the only reason they hate their offspring is because they have this weird bioquirk about them. And they don't care why they hate them. They just fucking hate them. You know? I mean, if you were to bring that up to try and get them to stop fighting, their answer would probably be something along the lines of, well then, why fight biology? You know? I mean, you're just giving into your biology. Well, that's what it's there for. You know? But anyway, Toxin was one of the first times we ever got to see a unbonded juvenile symbiote. And I say unbonded because, I mean, he did have a host, but not that kind of a host. Basically, when we saw Carnage, you know, he was... Carnage and Cassidy are one being. You know, Carnage... I don't know if Carnage is wholly subsumed by Cassidy or Cassidy's wholly subsumed by Carnage. But they, unlike Eddie Brock and Venom, they are of one mind. They are in complete accord at all times to the point where they really are one being. And I think Cletus Cassidy has actually shown the ability to manifest the entire Carnage symbiote just from his blood, even when the symbiote had been completely and utterly destroyed, because they'd bonded so tightly that if it ever at any point the symbiote were quote-unquote destroyed, he'd just fucking grow a new one out of his own blood. And I think likewise the symbiote has done the same thing to him before. Like, oh no, Cletus is dead, I better grow a new Cletus. You know? So. But Toxin was a case where we got to see a fresh symbiote that hadn't really had a person yet. And the result was fucking adorable. Because poor little Toxin, all he wanted to do was be good. The only reason he wanted to be good is because he bonded to this cop who was his host, and all he wanted was for him and his host to be a thing. You know, to be a team. He wanted his host to like him, and he wanted to like his host. And his host was a cop, so, of course, anything criminal was completely out of the question. And Toxin was a blank slate. He had nothing. Oh, and I'm gonna backtrack for just a second. The reason, if in case you're wondering, the reason why Carnage and Venom didn't just kill their offspring the instant they were born, uh, symbiote biology is well aware of the fact that they want their offspring dead, so they go into this state of basically paralysis whenever one is born, so that they can't immediately murder their offspring. It's actually kind of funny. I seem to recall something along the lines of Carnage just spewing hateful profanity at Toxin, basically telling him, as soon as I can move, you're dead. You know? And, of course, Brock didn't let that happen, and later Spider-Man didn't let that happen. That, by the way, was what broke up Toxin and Venom, was the fact that Spider-Man took an interest in Toxin, and Toxin was willing to work with him. Well, shit, if he's working with Spider-Man, all bets are off. Venom wants nothing to do with him. So then he and Carnage teamed up to kill Toxin, with the knowledge that as soon as Toxin was dead, they were going to try to kill each other again. Because, you know, symbiote families are goddamn strange. But anyway, the thing with Toxin was he wanted to be good, but he didn't know what that meant. I mean, he was told things, but he didn't understand them. And he worked out a little system with his host, when his host... Because his host was divorced, and he loved his wife and kid and wasn't allowed to see him. Well, one day he saw her in the park. He's like, I've got to go. And Toxin's like, why? Why do you have to go? Oh, she can't see me. You know, so Toxin just shape-shifted him to look like this old man. And that allowed him to have this conversation with his wife and find out about his kid and all that shit, see how they were doing, without, you know, doing so. And he basically told Toxin, okay, here's the deal. If you give me my weekly sessions just hanging out and chatting with my wife in the park, I'll give you, I want to say it was like 3 hours a night to play, where you get the body and you can do what you want. You're not allowed to commit crimes, etc. Now, meanwhile, he'd been keeping this really asshole-ish log on his computer about how horrible Toxin was, and for some reason Toxin wasn't able to see into his memories and, you know, keep track of all his shit. I don't know why. It was probably explained in the comic book, but I forgot. But anyway, one night Toxin knocked over his computer and broke it. And he didn't know what the computer was, except that it was something that his host really liked and would be mad if he came to in the morning and saw that it was destroyed. So, being good, he's thinking, I broke it, I need to replace it. Well, he doesn't know shit about computers, so when his host comes to in the morning, not only does he regain consciousness to a house with a broken computer, he also regains consciousness to a living room full of about 20 stolen computers. Because Toxin didn't know what to get him, and he wanted to replace what he broke. So, yeah, Toxin and his host were so adorable. And Eddie and the Venom symbiote kind of have that relationship in this movie. Now, don't get me wrong, the symbiote is a lot more aggressive and violent than Toxin ever was. And he is far more in control. You know, he has Eddie's cooperation because he lets Eddie cooperate. He gives him the opportunity to cooperate. It's made pretty clear that if Venom the symbiote wants to be in the driver's seat, he will be. Whereas Toxin kind of didn't have the strength to do that. But then again, in this movie, Venom is a very realized symbiote. He's an adult symbiote, whereas Toxin was a newborn, who at that point had been like maybe a month old, you know? But still, Venom and Brock have that kind of relationship, and it's really cute. And it's a lot of fun, and I'm definitely going to see that movie again. I just don't know how soon. So, on top of that, like I said, I've got the Adventure Island thing going on. That's going to be a lot of fun. It'll be on October 27th, which is a Saturday. We're going to get there early, which means, I hope it means we're going to get there opening, which will be 10 to 5. Oh, I'm sitting here this whole time thinking I'd have 5 hours to play in the water. No, I've got 7, which is even better. It doesn't sound like much until you factor in how long 7 hours is. Consider 7 hours as the amount of time I didn't want to have to wait up in Tampa. to see Venom. And now I realize that's the amount of time I get to splash around and play in the water. I'm going to be so sunburned. And I don't care. Because here's the real reason I want to go, not just because I literally have dreams about water parks, but I need to recharge. I'm one of those people who... I don't think I have depression, but I do have some of the symptoms at times if left to wind down too much. Basically, I gradually lose my motivation throughout the year. And I found that, generally speaking, if I can get to a theme park once a year, any kind of theme park really, have what I would deem a vacation, which some people, a vacation is literally, I'm going to go fishing or something. No, that's a day trip. And even though my vacations are basically day trips, they're day trips to what is for me an exotic location, like Disney World or SeaWorld or, you know, Adventure Island or Gator World or some shit like that. But I'm of the mind, because I know when I go to Disney World, I'm refreshed. I come back and I just have new vigor. I'm just back into things again. I have drive again. I have ambition again. And I'm hoping it'll be the same way with Adventure Island, even though it's not this wondrous theme park that I just am utterly entranced with. Just the simple fact that it's a park I've never been to should be enough. And the fact that it's a water park, which is something I've literally had dreams of wanting to go to. You know, I doubt it'll hold up to my dreams, but it could, and it could be a lot of fun. So I'm hoping this will restore the creative juices and just make me more motivated to be. Because I haven't had any kind of real vacation in years, and the clock's done run down. I'm out of windings. If I want to get back in the groove, I need external influences at this point. You know, come to think of it, I think this is what most people would use drugs for, to just reignite whatever they've got going. Me, I just go to theme parks, you know? I just need a day in a world with completely different rules, where I can just have fun, where the whole place exists for me to enjoy myself, you know? It's a simple thing, but like they say, it's the simple things in life you treasure. Actually took the cats and dog to the vet Wednesday, which is why I didn't do anything Wednesday. Wednesday was a fucked up day for me. It basically started for me at about 7 a.m. Keep in mind, I didn't get to sleep until like 4 or 5 a.m. And sleep, by the way, has gotten much more difficult for me because Winkles pulled down the curtain by my bed, and I need to get new parts to fix it. But she pulled down my fucking curtains, so now natural light is in my room at all times, and my window's always exposed to nature, and I hate that. So it gets slightly more difficult to sleep during the day, which is when I get most of my sleeping done. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. My day started at like 7 in the morning, where I had an alarm to wake me up, to make sure my aunt was awake, and she was. She woke up at like 6. And then at around 8 or so, I got all the pets ready, and we got in the car, and we went down there. And the plan had originally been for me to hang out there and spend time with Mom and all that, but she had errands to run for my uncle, who I don't get along with at all. And that was the last day that Smallfoot was being shown in 3D, and they only had the one showing. So basically what I came up with is I would go visit Mom later on another day, when no one was quite as busy. We'd drop off the pets, I'd get back on the bus, I'd go home, I'd see Smallfoot, I would leave the theater, immediately get on the next bus, the next 18, ride it to PetSmart, pick up my pets, get my aunt to take us home, get some pet food along the way, do a couple other things that didn't necessarily materialize. And that would be my day. Well, halfway on the bus ride home from PetSmart to get to my movie, I'm just drowsing. So I decide, hey, I got home early. You know, because originally my plan was to visit with Mom for a couple of hours and, you know, get on the bus and then go see Smallfoot. And the Mom thing didn't happen, so that thing didn't happen. So I get home and I sleep for a couple hours, then I get on the bus, go see Smallfoot in 3D. It was a lot of fun, again, the second time. I might actually figure out some shenanigans to see the movie again this week. I haven't decided if it's worth spending what little money I have or using my $5 coupon to see it on Tuesday or what, but I'm very much thinking about it because I love the movie and I love the soundtrack. It's a lot of fun. It's a cute movie. It's one of those movies that I'm genuinely, utterly surprised by and impressed by because I expected nothing good from that movie, and it delivered everything good. So, and I almost never, I'm not one of those people who generally goes to see a movie that they don't think they're going to like. I've done it twice recently, once with Solo, once with Smallfoot, and in both cases I was absolutely thrilled with what I got. You know? And I guarantee you there are already people like, oh, you liked Solo, I'm taking away your Star Wars cred. Fuck you. You can't take away my Star Wars cred. For one thing, I'm probably a bigger fan than you. But anyway, yeah, I went into that movie with low to no expectations and was absolutely blown away. And the only thing that made me even consider it was that the second trailer dropped like a week or two before it happened. So I got a chance to see that. And I gave the movie its shot, and just fucking wow, okay? It was really something special. And anyway, we're going to end it here, because I'm getting kind of tired. I got to see Justice League at some point today. But bye, everybody.